Where is did we pass the arch? Are we far from the arch?
The Archway is way up the street. It's the other side of 162nd Street.
Would you tell me that story about the archway?
Well, it's a cocktail bar that I used to hang out at and drink in from the mid-'60s through 1968 when I had to leave and go into service. So after a tour in Vietnam in '69, I came home in '70. A couple of days home, I decided to go back up the Archway and see my old buddies. Surprise, surprise. When I got up there, the bar isn't there anymore. It was a tropical fish store. So that's the story of the old Archway. I doubt there's many in Gardena that even remember the place anymore since it's been closed so many years. Next year will be 40 years since it closed. So I might be the only old Archway patron left, because most of them were older than me. As a matter of fact, I was drinking there before I was even 21. Never did tell the owner though. When I did turn 21, I thought about it, but I said, no, I ain't gonna spoil it for somebody else. If he's got a chance and he looks old enough to pass for it, more power to him. I ain't gonna spoil it for him. So they never did know it. I didn't make no big deal out of it. Nobody ever was the wiser.
How did you get away with that?
I looked a little bit older than I was, plus from the age of 16 on, I had the mustache. So I got by on my looks.
So who were some of your drinking buddies back at the time? You mentioned Indian Sam.
Oh yeah, Indian Sam was the first one that took me over to the desert room. That was back in 1966. I was working graveyard at Douglas Aircraft, so I'd get off at 7:30 in the morning. I'd go over and have a few drinks at the Archway, and old Indian Sam, he was usually in there early too for his early morning pick-me-up. He had to have it in his system all the time. So one day he says, hey Sam, he says, you want to go with me over to Daniel's and have a drink? It's known as the Desert Room, but he still called it Daniel's because it used to be owned by a guy named Lou Daniels, and the guys from his era still habitually referred to it as Daniel's. Now we'll continue on down Western Avenue, going through old downtown Moneta. That was the original downtown of Gardena before the city of Gardena was ever even incorporated. It was known as Moneta at that time. What we're visiting here is what I remember of old downtown Moneta back when it still had all the stores and shops of the old downtown, which none of them are here anymore. But we'll visit the buildings. Most of them are still here, like the old Bank Club bar, the liquor store, the courthouse, and the old drugstore. And we'll go on down the street from here and cover some more of that. Okay, we got a green light now.
Okay.
We got the green light now. The building next to the liquor store, it's still vacant. That was a flooring, wood flooring, tile flooring. You could buy all your materials for flooring in that building. Then Bolton's Classic Wheels was in there. I see they're gone now too. This is the front of the old drugstore here, which is now a Spanish language storefront church. And right next door you have Marty's Cocktails here. Marty's Cocktails back in those days was a restaurant known as the Kitchen Cafe, and the owner was a man named Mac Ingalls. And during my high school years, I went to work in there for him as a dishwasher for 50 cents an hour, and that was darn good money for a kid in those days, because minimum wage for an adult was only about 90 cents an hour. There's no longer a restaurant in there, it's strictly a beer bar today, but it is still the same building and still in operation. Where the boards are, there used to be glass windows, and one of my jobs was to wash the windows with a sponge mop and squeegee them down, the windows and the door, every Saturday. But they boarded up the windows now for the bar because bars don't need windows. They would just serve to get a customer thrown through them, probably in a fight.